please record. Hi guys, I'm here with Stacey from TidyMe. We're going to hear all about how TidyMe got started here in Australia. So over to you, Stacey.
Hey Jen, thanks for having me. Just to tell you guys a little bit about TidyMe. So we're basically a two-sided marketplace connecting our customers with quality cleaners in their local area. So we started out in the residential side of the business and more recently have ventured into commercial and what we call TidyMe work. That's essentially very brief what TidyMe is.
That's awesome. And how did you guys get started?
Yeah, so my background's kind of been in startups over in London, and then in Sydney I helped launch General Assembly. So I'd always been kind of looking around at different ideas of different things to launch, and thought a marketplace would be a really fantastic thing to kind of go into. Main reason was because I like the potential to give access and opportunity to work for a lot of people. So came across this business model of cleaning, and also identified in the market that there was a really big opportunity. And we launched it really bootstrapped initially. We've now been running for about 3.5 years. Fuel the growth in building out the technology platform, which was initially really just a basic me at the back end, and leveraging some tools as well to be able to do that.
That's amazing. And I mean, tell me about that bootstrapping experience. I mean, with one shift, we literally printed off posters and posted them on walls, and you got lots of signups that way. What are some of the things that you did, day one to get started?
Oh yeah, definitely stuff like that. I remember one of the most random things we did was paying people on Airtasker to go and put posters in apartment buildings in their local area with like tabs to sign up to TidyMe. Wasn't really quantifiable, wouldn't recommend it, but it was, at the start, you're kind of doing anything to see what's going to work. We basically launched it. Really just looked at, when I started, I thought, we'll see what happens if we launch this one, and if it doesn't work in the next 3 months, we'll move on to the next idea. 3.5 years on, it's still kind of working at this point. So we launched it and put out some ads, obviously with a two-sided marketplace, making sure that you can balance that supply and demand. So put out some ads for crew, who are our cleaners or supply side.
Yep.
And then they went out and we started in Facebook mothers groups.
Really?
To look for our customers. Yeah. So that was really interesting. And I had an approach with the first 30 customers that I would meet every one of them. So I go after the clean, take them flowers and talk to them about their experience.
That's awesome.
And that sort of... yeah, mostly awesome. It was really good. It was a great way to meet our customers and find out who were going to be the best fit for our customers as well.
Yeah.
And that way, I think people really love that personal touch, which is something we've tried to carry through even as we've scaled. But people really love that personal touch, and so they started talking about us on social media, and that really helps fuel that initial growth.
And you as a founder, I mean, you've, as I remember, done actually cleaning tasks yourself. So how important is for founders to actually get their hands dirty, quite literally in your sense, to get in touch with their customer base?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It was unintentional. And luckily I've only had to do a couple of jobs. But, when you've sold someone a service, and you can't fulfill that. I just went out there and got my hands dirty. And even at that stage, it was so useful because I'd had this idea. I have a bit of a background in design, and I had this idea that our crew would be wearing these beautiful linen aprons and carrying like supermarket baskets with all the products in. And I trekked from Piedmont to King's Cross in carrying one of these supermarket baskets, and it was just the most uncomfortable thing in the world. So that was about 2 weeks in, and I learned that we should supply backpacks instead.
And
so really small things like
linen Probably not a good match.
Yeah, it didn't really work. It was pretty pre-calls by the time you got there. So yeah, we've certainly changed a lot of things since then. But even now, I think having a real connection to all of our crew and doing a lot of, we really focus on the community side of things with our crew. Even as we've got, hundreds of people on the platform, we really focus on having a really strong relationship with them and getting feedback on how we can improve our product. And our focus has really been on making the best product for our crew, which ultimately translates into the best experience for our customers.
Definitely. And as a founder, then how are you? I mean, you've got a team now. So how have you scaled your team? How did you hire your first person? How do you manage that culture?
Yeah, it's been really interesting over the kind of course of, so it's been about 3.5 years now. Our first hire was probably the most important person in the, that's kind of shaped the business, because it allowed me to, at that point, step away operationally day to day, and focus on things like our growth, focusing on the capital raising as well, which just, as any founder who's raised capital before, it just takes you out of the office for really extended periods of time. And I actually really love capital raising, but it's really difficult when you also have to be operational in the business. So that was really, really important to us. And then once we raised capital, building out a really, really strong technology team was super important, because everything that we've done in the product, even though everything is always focused around quality, it's really on the data side of things and how we can improve the algorithm for job matching, and give our crew, as I said, the best possible experience of working close to their home so they can essentially walk in between jobs, and also having them get back-to-back schedules. So that kind of, the back end of our product is really the kind of heart of what drives TidyMe.
Fantastic. And with your culture then, within your team, how have you seen that develop and evolve as the company's grown?
Yeah, it's been really interesting. I think particularly going from the very early stages where we were looking for people who were kind of hacky and get shit done kind of people, the shift has sort of gotten to, we're a much more established company now. We're doing thousands of jobs every month. We've still got a very, very lean team. We certainly focus on having everyone there for a reason and no kind of dead weight in the team. So we've got a pretty lean team there. But everyone who is super focused on results-driven activity. So everyone in the team has a kind of background in data and understands data. And also people who are just really excited about solving the problems that we have, particularly, as I said, in kind of scheduling, utilization, and then number one thing is quality as well. So looking at, one of the big things we're working on at the moment is looking at engagement across every single touch point of the business for the crew side, and how we use that engagement to kind of drive the quality of the cleaning as well.
Amazing. And you guys have a pretty in-depth dashboard for your data, for monitoring everything from unit economics to live what's happening. Can you talk us through that?
Yes. Yeah, so we've got everyone in the team has their own kind of in-depth dashboards, but then we've got what we call the mothership, which is our kind of like weekly and monthly dashboard. It's about 150 lines, and we look at everything operationally in the business so that we can identify precursors that might lead to issues, particularly, as you know, two-sided marketplace, managing that supply and demand, but also looking for precursors in quality or anything that could lead to really like any issues in retention. So that sort of goes across everything from both our marketing side, supply side growth, and then also looking at all of the operational things that we have in the business. So as I said, operational engagement metrics.
Yep. And what other tools do you use to manage that supply and demand? Because that is so critical to a two-sided marketplace.
Yeah, so we've custom built pretty much everything in the platform. So we've got pretty silly names for everything, but what this is called onboard, offboard. So we've got a relatively complex algorithm for looking at the growth of crew, we've also got so we've got an application process that's all online. So we look at what's in the funnel, how growth on the customer side is going at that point, and then also predicted churn, and then predicted growth on the crew side. And we do that on an area level as well. So yeah, it's all kind of custom built and constantly evolving and improving as well. But right now it's working pretty well for us.
That's awesome. And what does the future hold for TidyMe?
Yeah, so I think I keep telling people, I feel like because we've just got a couple of new people into the team, but
Wow.
I feel like it's actually the most exciting time in TidyMe history at this point. So we've kind of been through I'm sure there's lots of things in the future as well as we grow and scale that there will be additional issues. But what we're really proud of now is we've seen really consistent numbers for the past 9 months. We're pretty much at break-even point as well, so we've been able to kind of prove the business model. Yeah, thank you.
Huge though.
It's a really exciting milestone for us. Yeah, definitely. And so we're right now really going into, now that we've had those solid consistent numbers in pretty much those 150 and improving things in quality, we are now going into a capital raise early next year, and plan to use that money to just fuel that growth and get into that growth stage of the business. And that's across two things. So we launched TidyMe, as I mentioned this, and operating it as a kind of separate business unit.
Sorry, what was the name?
And then
it just cut out a little bit.
Oh, sorry, TidyMe Work.
Awesome, thanks.
So yeah, we've kind of got the residential side and then the
work side
or commercial side. And I think there's huge opportunities for both, particularly over the next 12 months. So we're already in Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, but certainly plan to be national and then looking at international opportunities as well.
Amazing. Is there any particular country that you're looking at in particular?
There's so many opportunities, I think, on our doorstep. So we've, Asia in general, and we're not quite at the point where we have a rollout strategy yet. But certainly looking to Asia as a big opportunity for us. Also because of the way that we've kind of built the business and scaled it into Melbourne and Brisbane at this point. We've been able to centralize everything in Sydney. So everything is in our local headquarters, so we don't need to have heads on the ground. So it will mean that we'll be able to scale that quite efficiently, hopefully.
That's great. There's a lot happening. It's an exciting time for TidyMe. You've got lots of new hires coming on as well. How do you as a CEO manage all this with your headspace, make sure that you're the best that you can be, to guide the team? What do you do?
Yeah. So, well, I think that's about having a team that you can really trust. So having people there who, if I'm not in the office, I can trust that they're doing an amazing job and working really hard. So working with smart and passionate people is probably the biggest thing that saves your headspace and saves your kind of, your sanity, I would say. Yes. On top of that, it's the boring regular things that you hear about of like diet and exercise. Exactly. No, but it really helps, right?
Makes a big difference.
It's unfortunate, but it does. It makes a really, really big difference. So taking time to make sure that you are focusing on your mental and physical health is really, really important. But that really sits at the core of having a team that you can trust to rely on, so that you're not doing 18-hour days.
Definitely.
So it's just unsustainable. So
yes. So with the new hires, what's the makeup of your team? What do you have? Salespeople, cleaners, devs? What does that look like?
Yeah. So we have kind of 3 business units. So we've got product, marketing, and operations. So those are, the kind of focus. What we've tried to do is reduce the volume of people working in operations, and really fuel that by efficiencies in product. Those are kind of the 3 units at the moment. And then the plan next year is to build those out with a data-specific team working within operations as well. But always probably within those 3 buckets, really.
Yeah, awesome. And moving forward then, how do you see the team evolving, especially with expanding into new countries?
Yeah, so the evolution is very much, as I said, still product heavy. Yep. Certainly, it's all about having smart people in operations. Like where we are at this point is we fortunately have very little firefighting to do, which has evolved over the course of the business. So we can actually focus our resources in improving all of the parts of the operational funnel, right? So that is essentially the way that we work, is just looking at different projects. So taking on one part of the business and how we can improve it significantly, and breaking that off, doing that in a project and looking at the data, and then sort of going back on it in a few months' time. And so, yeah, we're fortunate that we don't, and I don't see us ever having to build a team whereby there's, 50 people working in customer service. So yeah, the makeup of the business, I think going forward, certainly strong operational heads, and we're hiring for something like that at the moment. Sort of getting to the final stages there. People in data analytics, and then also, yeah, exactly. And then also building up a really strong product team. So we are really close to releasing updates of our crew app, and then also releasing a customer app, which should provide even more efficiency in terms of our customer service headcount at the moment.
Yeah, fantastic. And, with the stage of the business, do you have advisors or an advisory board or a board, or do you have personal mentors, or, what network do you have around you?
Yeah, so we have a board. So we have a pretty structured board. We've got two of our key investors have directors on the board. And then myself and Riley, who him and I actually worked at General Assembly together. So he is chairman of the board, and then works with me as an advisor as well. Great. So that's been really, really helpful in getting us kind of to steer the business in the right direction. And I think having their many, many years of experience, and also all of their experience in looking at other marketplaces as well. So Airtree are one of our investors, and they're very heavily invested in marketplaces. So they've been able to help us identify things potentially before we would have been able to. And as I said, help us steer the direction of the business in the most, I guess, the way that looking at setting us up for the best potential growth, and the best kind of way forward for the business. So yeah, that's been really, really helpful. Outside of that, I think, you and I are friends, and having the network of sort of Sydney startups has just been so helpful, which I was fortunate to kind of have around me from General Assembly anyway. But any founders out there looking to start a business, like, go into a co-working space, build a network of people around you, because even businesses at different stages, you're often facing similar issues. And sometimes it's just someone to vent to, and to say, hey, I'm having not the best day. And particularly as a solo founder, I think that's really, really helpful for people.
Definitely. And what are your views then on the Sydney Startup Hub and how that's going to impact the community?
Yeah, so I'm super excited. I haven't actually been down there just yet, but it sounds amazing. So yeah, I know. I'm so excited. I'm going to head down there probably early Jan, because a couple of our TidyMe work customers are moving in there. So Stone and Chalk and Fishies. But yeah, I think it's just going to have a really positive impact, particularly bringing all of those spaces together. Each one of them have their own kind of culture and their own way of going about things, but I think it's going to be really great to bring everyone together in one kind of melting pot together.
Yeah.
And just a centralized location for events and things like that as well.
Definitely. Keeps it a bit more neutral ground, rather than, you held it at that space, or all that stuff.
Definitely. Yeah.
So do you watch podcasts, read particular things, or follow particular people for inspiration or insights? What do you look at?
Yeah, so I'm like addicted to podcasts. I listen to podcasts from like the first time I wake up to when I go to bed. I listen to them to go to sleep, which is not always really beneficial because you wake up and forget half of what you listen to. But so many different podcasts. Particularly I kind of dig into things that I'm particularly interested in the business at that point. So rather than certain people, it's more around the topic. So right now we're kind of, particularly with the development of the apps, we're looking at how we can drive engagement and more of that. What I've been talking to the team about is like the solitaire feeling. So maybe you're too young, Jen, but like playing solitaire on your PC in like the late 90s.
Snakes, Nokia.
And the feeling when the cards come down. Exactly, yeah. But the feeling when the cards come down in solitaire and that, you know, level of excitement, and how we can bring that into our apps on the crew side. So, you know, one of the big things is like them receiving 5 stars and receiving feedback text from people. So how we can bring that kind of excitement into that and bringing that sort of attachment. So yeah, listening to a few different podcasts about that at the moment. Outside of that, Brad Feld, I'm like pretty addicted to reading his blog. One of the big sort of mantras for us in 2018 is ICDC, so increase conversion, decrease churn. And I just think the way that he approaches things, of looking at things on like a microscopic level, but then sort of, you know, much wider level as well, is just really, really interesting, and obviously always bringing the data to the table as well. Yep. So yeah, those are probably the kind of big ones at the moment. But yeah, always just lots of different areas and more focused on what we're learning at that point.
That's great. And there are a lot of double-sided marketplaces around the world, you know, all solving for different challenges, offering different services, products, etc. What are the ones that you are seeing that you're watching and going, wow, that's pretty cool what they're doing?
So I think I wouldn't identify like, I wouldn't identify one in particular, but I'd say more across the ethos of how people are approaching things. So businesses like potentially Lyft is like one of these, but any two-sided marketplace that I think puts their supply side at the heart of everything that they do, and every decision is made based on the best possible experience for them, is really what we're aspiring to do as well. Because once you build a really strong community of people and evangelists and champions for your brand, that just puts you in the best possible stead. And I think if you have a really happy supply side, you're going to have really happy customers as well. So rather than one marketplace, it's more just that, I guess, that culture that they're driving.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And I ask everyone this, so please forgive the randomness, but if you could have any superpower in the world, what would it be?
Oh, that's a good one. Probably, this is a bit random, but probably to be invisible.
Really?
I feel like it would be really interesting. You'd get a lot of you'd get a lot of human insights from kind of, you know, sitting with people, being invisible and being able to kind of see how they're interacting and what they're doing, and how they're, even things like using your product, or what the experience is like for our crew, you know, or for our customers. I feel like that would be the most useful. I don't know, what's yours?
Well, it's funny because everyone I've spoken to comes back to, you know, regaining time, or reading people's minds, or being able to kind of, you know what people are thinking, because it's all about interaction with people. So it's interesting you said be invisible to kind of have that same thing. Mine's time. Like if you can pause time so you can catch up, or more of it, or, you know, it's the one thing you can't get back. So that's kind of where I come from. Well,
that's a good one. Everyone would like more time, right?
Exactly. So how can everyone support you more? You know, can they go to your website, download your app? You know, what can they do?
Yeah, definitely. So any support for TidyMe, obviously, in terms of more customers, or, you know, if you know some great cleaners, definitely recommend them as well. And definitely give us feedback. That's the one thing we really, you know, thrive on as well. So we've got like, I want good and bad feedback. We really, as I said, really focused on the quality side of things, and we've got the highest quality ratings in Australia, which we're super proud of. But I also like to receive bad feedback so that we can know how we can improve. Yeah, exactly. And it's everything that kind of drives our decisions as well in here of feedback on both the crew side and the customer side.
Yeah.
But how you could support us beyond that is we are always hiring for amazing devs. So if anyone knows any amazing devs looking to kind of get into that space, anyone who's got kind of a background in logistics as well, particularly in development of looking at job allocation distribution is super interesting for us.
Yeah.
Or anyone passionate about solving similar problems to what we're solving, regardless of what area. It's always interesting for us to meet with those people. So yeah,
definitely, it's amazing. Well, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And guys, see you next time.
Thank you.
For our next chat. I don't know who the next person is, but it's happening. I'm
Thanks, Jen.
recording somehow so that we can chat.